Sean Sandina, a Hispanic medium with a penetrating gaze and a compassionate heart, welcomed a child into her humble home whose life was being consumed by a dark curse. The little boy, pale and trembling, confessed that he had been hearing whispers in his mind for 3 days, voices that grew louder and more insistent, as if something or someone were trying to tear his soul away. Sean, with a lump in his throat, immediately understood that he was facing the final stage of a gypsy curse, a curse that does not forgive. With trembling hands, he prepared a séance, invoking the protective spirits to intercede. But it was in vain. The child, in a moment of absolute terror, fell from a railing and, before Sean's desperate eyes, was dragged to hell by an evil force emanating from the shadows. Sean, devastated and with burning tears in her eyes, looked into the void and promised the demon with a firm and hate-filled voice, "We will meet again. This battle is not over." Years later, in an apparently normal world, Christine, an ambitious young woman, worked as an employee in the loan office of a large credit institution. Her obsession with climbing the corporate ladder led her to make a ruthless decision. To impress her boss and prove that she was tough and inflexible, she denied a third repayment extension to Mrs. Sylvia Ganesh, an elderly gypsy with a haunting gaze and trembling voice. The humiliation on the old woman's face was palpable, but Christine showed no compassion. What she didn't know was that Mrs. Ganesh was not an ordinary woman. That very night, in a dark and ancient ritual, the old woman stole a button from Christine's coat and cursed it with a demonic force that awakened the Lamia, a nightmarish being that would soon begin to stalk her. Since that day, Christine's life became a living hell. Horrendous visions haunted her at every moment, shadows moving in the corners, whispers echoing in her ears when she was alone, and the terrifying figure of the Lamia, a demon with flaming eyes and sharp claws, who appeared in her dreams and while awake, trying to terrify her in every possible way. Christine, increasingly desperate, sought help from Ramjas, a seer with a grave look and calm voice. He explained the terrible truth: the Lamia was pursuing her, and in 3 days it would return to drag her soul to hell. With her heart racing 1,000 miles an hour, Christine ran to Mrs. Ganesh's house, begging for her life. But upon arriving, she discovered that the old woman had died, leaving her without hope of breaking the curse. The visions intensified, becoming increasingly violent and disturbing. Christine began to doubt her own sanity, and her personal and professional life crumbled. In a desperate act, she sacrificed her kitten, thinking that perhaps the demon would take pity on her. But it was in vain. The Lamia showed no mercy, and Christine knew her time was running out. Terror consumed her, and the uncertainty of what was to come kept her in a state of constant anguish. Could she find a way to escape her fate, or was she doomed to be dragged to hell by the creature that pursued her? Ramjas, with a grim but determined expression, suggested to Christine that she turn to the only person who could help her in her desperation, the medium Sean Sandina. With a sigh of hope mixed with terror, Christine agreed, although the price was steep, $10,000. Her boyfriend, Clay, although skeptical and reluctant to believe in the curse, did not hesitate to support her. He was willing to do whatever it took to save the woman he loved, even if it meant delving into a world of shadows and rituals that defied all logic. The séance began in a tense atmosphere. Sean Sandina, with his firm voice and eyes full of determination, invoked the Lamia, the demon that was haunting Christine. The air grew heavy, and the candles flickered as if an invisible presence were suffocating them. Suddenly, the Lamia manifested, emerging from the shadows with a roar that froze the blood of everyone present. Sean fought with all his might, trying to repel the demon with ancient rituals and words of power. However, the battle was uneven. Although he managed to temporarily drive away the Lamia, the effort cost him his life. Sean fell to the ground, breathless, as the demon retreated, leaving a terrifying silence in the room. With Sean dead and the Lamia still at large, Ram Dass revealed to Christine the only option left, to transfer the curse to another person. To do so, she would have to give the cursed object of Mrs. Ganesh to an innocent person, condemning them to suffer the same fate as her. Christine, with a broken heart, could not accept that idea. She was not willing to sacrifice someone else to save herself. But then, in a moment of desperate clarity, she had an idea: to use a gypsy ritual to return the cursed button to the corpse of Mrs. Ganesh herself. It was a risky plan, almost impossible, but it was his only hope. With the help of Clay and Ram, Christine managed to exhume the body of the old gypsy woman. The ritual was tense and full of obstacles, but finally, the cursed button, kept in an envelope, was placed in the cold, rigid hands of Mrs. Ganesh. For a moment, Christine felt a fleeting relief, as if the weight of the curse had been lifted. The next morning, Christine received a call from her boss, who informed her that she had obtained the long-awaited promotion. With a sigh of relief, she planned a brief trip with Clay to escape all the horror she had lived through. However, at the station, just when she thought her nightmare was over, Clay returned the envelope with the cursed button to her. Christine, confused, realized that she had mistakenly swapped it with another envelope containing a rare coin, a gift she had given to Clay herself. At that moment, time ran out. The 3 days had passed, and the Lamia returned with relentless fury. Christine, paralyzed by terror, felt invisible claws gripping her and dragging her into the depths of hell. Clay, bewildered and terrified, watched as the woman he loved disappeared before his eyes, taking with her any trace of hope. The silence that followed was deafening, and Clay was left alone, holding the cursed envelope, wondering if he would ever escape the shadows that now surrounded him.